Okay, I'm going to show you today how to play a really fun game called Ice Cool. And this game is really neat. It's a dexterity flicking game, and it comes in a box that's just this size, but yet it lays out into this huge array. And it's really neat because all of these boxes fit inside of each other. They're all sort of like nesting boxes. So when everything gets stacked all right back up in there, it fits right into that box lid, and then you carry the game around and you're ready to go. So in the game, this is a flicking game, and it plays from 2 to 4 players. We are penguins that are in ice school, and one penguin is going to be the hall monitor, and the other penguins are running through the different classrooms trying to not get caught by the hall monitor. So at the start of the game, we're going to set up the board as such. The doorways have little colored dots on them, so that's how you know how to match things up. So the green go to green, red goes to red, this gray goes to gray. And then we put these little beige clips on there to hold that stuff in place. And then every player who's not the hall monitor is going to put their color fish token on the door frame. As a reminder, everybody's also going to have color cards that remind them of what color they are, in addition to ID cards, which are important, and I'll explain that in just a second. So how the game works is whoever the catcher is, let's say that's player 1, then players 2, 3, and 4 are going to take their turns first, starting with player 2. Let's say green is sitting to the left of the catcher. So what you can do on your turn, you have to start on this red dot, and you flick your penguin. This is a pretty bad flick, but you flick your penguin, and you're trying to go through the doors. If you manage to go through a door, then you take your fish token off of there, and then you're also going to draw a card from this deck. These cards are numbered 1, 2, or 3, and these are just straight victory points. So once you take your turn, the next person takes their turn, and that's a good thing that happens here. So you can get stuck in a doorway. If you get stuck in a doorway, you do not collect your fish token, and you are supposed to move. I'm just showing you this overhead view here. Depending on what room you are more in, you move to that room's red line, and then your turn is over. You don't collect your fish token, and the next person goes. And then so on your next turn, then if you manage to then finally go through completely, then you can collect your fish token and go on. Another little thing that can happen is if your piece is sort of up against a wall and it's difficult to flick away from them, you can always move your piece to a red line. So these things sort of weeble wobble, and it's important to note that because when you flick, you can always flick in the center and it should go straight like that. But there are trick shots, and I'm not great at them, but essentially if you flick to the right, then the penguin will curve right. So let's see if I can kind of get this guy in here. Yeah, all right. So that was good. And then if you, this is another trick shot. If you flick the penguin's head, which you don't want to do too much because it kind of hurts your fingers, but if you flick the penguin's head, it should bounce up there and it'll go, and it can hop essentially. Now, if you hop over a wall, you don't collect your fish tokens, but it might be useful to get out of the situation. So anyways, let's see if I can do that. Nope, didn't do it. I'll do one more time. No, I'll do one more time just because it's fun. Okay, so I hopped a little bit, but it didn't go over the wall. That's fine. Anyways, so as I said, players, let's say player 1 is the catcher. So players 2, 3, and 4, they all take their turn. And now it's the catcher's turn. So the catcher starts anywhere inside this this area right here. This is the lunchroom. And the catcher, you see, does not have any of his fish tokens up there. Because what the catcher is trying to do is the catcher is trying to tag any one of these penguins. So the catcher needs to flick, and then now he didn't touch any of them, so it didn't happen. But if the catcher hits one of the penguins, then he collects their ID card. At the end of a round, for every ID card that you have, you're going to get to draw another card from this deck. So the blue player always, the catcher always has their own ID card, so they're always going to be able to draw at least one card from the deck, but any other person that they capture, they'll also get cards from them. So the round is over when the catcher catches everybody's cards, or whenever one player has gone through all the doors and collected their fish tokens from the tops of all the doors. Another little thing that can happen is if you have collected 2 fish cards that are just ones, you can turn them in. Actually, you just sort of turn them upside down. They still count as points, so it's still 2 points, but you just sort of turn them over to note that you are using them as a special power, and essentially you turn them in and you get to take another turn immediately. So let's say, you know, if the catcher's right next to you and all you need to do is get through one more door for him, you might want to turn it in immediately, you know, so that you can go through there and get your last fish card. Let's see here. So the game is over once everybody has had one turn to be the catcher, and after that happens, we just tally up all the points. Whoever has most points wins. If you're playing a 2-player game, you take turns essentially, going player 1, player 2, player 1, player 2. And I believe that is all there is to know about this game. It's a lot of fun. Thanks. So something that I maybe didn't explicitly state is that as the catcher, if you tag somebody, so if you tag a person and you took their ID card, they still play and they still go on with their turn. The round is only over whenever somebody has collected all of their fish tokens or the catcher has tagged everybody. So even if there's still just one person out there with an ID card, everybody is still taking their turns, and you know, any one of these 3 players can end the round by collecting all their fish tokens, or the catcher can end the round by tagging the last person. So I don't know if that was super clear, but just another little bit. Thanks.